Alright, so, man, we got a typical boring episode called King Worm, and, no, I don't really like this one. No, I love surrealistic stuff, and I love dream stuff, and this whole episode was pretty much a dream, but I like it when they can tie it into, depending on what they're trying to do. If it's like a David Lynch thing, it's like, okay, just let it be a dream, whatever, but if it's a show, I'm like, yeah, if you can tie in a story, sort of, that's fine, but still keep the spirit of a dream. And that's pretty much what they do. Finn is obviously in a dream, and Jake seems to be in the dream as well, and he's telling him that they have to get this worm, who I know I've seen before, and he's teasing me. He says he's going to tell me in a minute, but I know I've seen him before, and I don't remember, but I remember seeing him, and that he's somehow controlling this dream, and they have to get him in order to stop the dream. And it's just them journeying through, trying to figure stuff out. Eventually, at the end, Finn he opens up his fears, like his biggest fears, and that totally scares away the worm, or at least takes away his energy, because that's what he wanted. He wanted Finn's energy, and finally the dream is broken, and the king worm is really decrepit and falling apart and stuff, and he's just, "Get out of my house, worm!" and he leaves. Yeah, which was, I love this is what's so great when a kid's voice changes, is that you can make that weird sound like that, "Get out of my house, worm!" It sounds great, it sounds really funny. So, yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was extremely creative. I like sort of the different styles of animation they do sometimes. It could have maybe even used a bit more. Like, I really like when they go with the father and they sort of do that different neon background with the regular animation. I like the confronting the fears, and I like him, like, if one fear isn't enough, he has to go to another one, he has to keep confronting them. I like that, again, shows how, he's a pretty, he'll go through this stuff, he'll face it. Just very, sort of Eternal Sunshine-ish, mixed with Inception-ish, not really Inception. That was the one thing I missed in Inception. It's like, yeah, it's so dreamlike, except for what you usually see in dreams. Like, this is what I see in dreams, but I know that was the idea, too. I'm getting off track. I really liked it. How about you?
I just want to see your dreams now.
My dreams? I never know it's a dream. Or every time I know it's a dream, I wake up, so I can never control it. I'm always really jealous of people that can control it. I know there's a few things you can do. I know, like, when he looks in the mirror, I know that's something they say is, like, really tough to do. Like, you can't look in the mirror
really?
And have it reflected back. Yeah, next time you're in a dream, see if you can find a reflection of water or a mirror or something. It won't look normal. Like, that's one of the dead giveaways. And for those that watch Batman the Animated Series, there's this thing where if you try to read in a book, they say in the show that you can't, but I think you can a little bit, but it's still difficult. Like, you can sort of read a sentence, but you can't. You can read a sentence, maybe two, but then it'll sort of go jump.
Maybe I'm dreaming all the time.
Maybe.
I have trouble reading anyway, so.
Maybe a part of my dream.
Huh? Oh, God.
I have a part of yours.
Ow.
Okay.
Yes.
So, what'd you think?
No, one thing I loved this episode, but I do like the bizarre and the strange and all that, of course. But for me, there is a ton of references to past episodes. And there are some nods to things to come.
Okay.
Which I think is even... Again, it's one of those things where... Okay, the King Worm. Do you remember? Hug me. Hug me. They come home, and before the whole time, Finn's like, "No worms on the bed!" Then they come home, and there's the giant King Worm going... Wah, 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 and they get hypnotized, and he's like, "Hug me. Hug me."
Okay, and is that where the episode ended?
Yeah.
So it's... Man, you could almost say, like, the past, couple dozen episodes were a dream then, almost, couldn't you?
Potentially.
That'd be real. That'd piss off a lot of people. That was true. That'd be like Dallas.
There's also the Fear Feaster.
Well, that's the guy who came out of the belly button, right?
He's the one that has the box with the key.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, what was the guy? Was it the? I always forget, the Sitch or the Lich. I always forget. So
he comes out shut.
He was saying, like, "You're gonna say something during this episode, aren't you?
the Lich, Peebles with the age, all this stuff has come up in the past. One of my favorites, though, was the girl.
Not Flame Princess?
The ghostly girl that comes up.
Oh, yeah!
And he's letting out all of his fears.
Yeah, and the sort of ghost girl comes up. Well, that's not Ghost Princess, right?
No. Do you remember where that's from?
Hold on, the ghost girl. God, I don't.
Apparently Jory does. She's going...
You can talk. Go on.
It's the House on Haunted Hill episode.
The Masquerade one? Where he's like...
Oh! I forgot to... Oh, that was the ghost that was actually legitimately haunting them.
And he goes, I'm going to put that one in the vault. And it's gone.
Oh my god. Okay, that's hilarious. That is really funny, because you have to... Yeah, you have to, like, really remember that joke. It's just a funny... I love how the show can do that. It can just take sort of a funny little throwaway joke and it can legitimately come back.
Well, what I love for me is that when they bring up the fears, they bring up legitimate fears that he has dealt with throughout the show. And not just like, okay, the scary creatures or his fear of the ocean, which I love because when he first comes to it, it looks like he's peeing.
Yeah, that's
Then
what I thought too, like he was afraid of wetting the bed or something.
Then he stands up and it's the water and he's like, the ocean. Like, okay, that the huge fear he had to deal with. And it's going through, and then there's the Peebles pops out. I remember George's like, Peebles? What?
I knew they were going to do something about the age, but I love just like, okay, see, I'm having coffee with the lid.
We're having
tea. Yeah, I'm having tea with the lid. I just like, because that's, it's only from all this creepy stuff too, like, an almost pleasant image, you know, having tea and everything, and then just, you know, because you're too young.
I love that they're actually dealing with things that he's always dealt with throughout the show.
Well, and what I like too, which is interesting, is that, you know, in that one episode he says, you know, before... I think it's before we were questioning that, but you know, just no, I'm done with you. I put it behind me. It seemed like he's over it, but there's a part that's never truly gonna leave. You know, once that scar hits you, it's like even if you're moving on, it's still gonna be a scar. It's never fully gonna leave. So no, I like that too because at first I didn't know how to feel about that. I'm like, oh, are they kind of opening this up again or whatever? But it's like, no, it's a scar. I mean, that's something that would stay.
Well, I see, for me, one thing that always drives me nuts when TV shows do it is that they have, supernatural shows that is where they have you, or the main characters, fighting off their deepest fears. Whatever their deepest fears may be, and most of the time it's usually like spiders or clowns or this and that and the other thing. And in these shows, they always show that it's incredibly easy.
You just have to close your eyes and go, yeah, and you have to battle it for a second. And
poof, it's gone. And that always bothers me. It's like, no, if it's a true deepest fear, you just can't battle it that fast for the most part. And this is kind of one of those things where Finn, when he battled the whole the ocean before, you saw he conked himself out and he wasn't done and over with it. But we've never gone back to it. The Lich we've never gone really back to in a sense. But this shows that he still has those fears there. Just because he conquered those beasts or those beings doesn't mean he's still not terrified of what was going on.
Well, I think the same thing here, too, is that he opens all these up and he keeps adding them on top of each other to get rid of this thing, to break out. And they're still... It's not like they've... Even after now they've left him, they're still going to be inside there. It's still going to be these legit fears. Even if he's conquered them in real life. You know, it's just because someone can, like, whatever, conquer this big bad monster doesn't mean later you're not still going to be afraid of that monster. It's like you don't want to do it again.
That's my issue with a lot of older shows, and I really love how they do that in here. And then, of course, I love at the end where he's like, I'm a clown. Oh, that's it.
Yeah, the king were, that's it. Gone.
I really love this one, especially just a lot of the animation, a lot of what we now have big legs, and Jake's like, well, wait a minute, I can always do this. Well, you have birds then. You have a bird.
Yeah, no, I like that.
And LSPs raining from the sky.
Yeah, that was funny. And I thought of one episode because I was afraid it was going to be like this episode. I'm glad it wasn't. It's a strange episode compared to, but there's an episode of The Sopranos where they've gone to. Well, but they've gone to one or two dreams, like, whatever, for a minute, and then he wakes up. But there's one episode where either half of it or, like, 70% of it was just this dream, and it didn't connect to anything, or if you read into it, it might connect to something. But for the majority of the episode, it's this dream, and that's it. And really pissed me off. It pissed a lot of people off, and it's because it didn't match the rest of the show. And it's okay if you do something different, but it still has to be in the spirit of the show, and I really thought that's what this did, is that every episode still, even if a lot of crazy stuff is going on, it still has a story, it still has a focus or an agenda or a quest or something going on.
It follows its own rules, if you
Yeah,
will.
and this one still does that, is that he's in a dream, but well, why would we want to be with him in a dream for so long unless we find out something or there's some suspense? And we kind of do both. I mean, we do find out a little bit more about him, and there's also this, you know, suspense of will he get out, how's he going to get out and stuff. So I like that. I thought it was a good balance, and funny too. It was creative, it was funny.
I'll say also for me, it's that there's a legitimate reason why this is going on. He's not just sleeping. And this strange thing is going on. No, this is being done to him. Yeah,
and I like the... Again, it's sort of like Wonderland, figuring out what are the rules of this place, and how do I work with them, and, you know, what do I have to unlearn, and what do I have to relearn, and I like that sort of, is this person lying, is this person even the person I think they are, and I really like that, where you have to really kind of use your wit to figure it out. You know, you had to think a little mad as well, to think like all the mad people do.
Yeah.
So no, I liked it. I liked sort of the deductive reasoning in a sense of the Dream World too. And no, I thought it was good. I thought it was a really cool episode.
I really liked the fact that they didn't even try to hide the fact that it was a dream. Kind of from the get-go, you knew something strange was going on by his extended length horns.
Yeah, well, that was the one giveaway when they think they're out of the dream. Like, no, they're still in the dream. They're still.
But they don't even try to hide it, which I really enjoyed. There's the one Family Guy episode where Stewie kills Lois. And it's a two-parter, and at the end of the two-parter, it's been just a simulation the whole time.
Yeah, I think most people know this twist. So
but what I love is that Brian brings up the fact of all these shows that do a dream sequence, where the whole episode has been completely stupid and pointless, there was no reasoning behind it, and, you know, he's like, but wouldn't that make people mad? Oh, but people should enjoy the ride. But isn't that like giving a giant middle finger to everyone watching? That's kind of how I feel most of the time, but with this one, you knew kind of from the get-go that something strange was up. And you're right, you actually learned something about him, about a lot of things.
Well, I think the same thing with this and like the Fiona and Cake episodes, that setting up from the beginning, look, this is not going to be like the normal go, we're not going to trick you, we're going to do something that you know from the beginning is different.
Yeah, you can truly enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and so you can really enjoy it, you can enjoy that you're watching something different, not feeling like you got suckered over something that's not really even that good of a twist, you just weren't told.
Yeah, like when Dallas did it with the whole Who Shot JR and everything. Okay, that was amazing for its time. When Bob Newhart...
with some exceptions, the Newhart show was genius.
That was great, where he wakes up and the show that everyone had just been watching had all been a dream, or even St. Elsewhere. St. Elsewhere, where the whole thing's been in the mind of an autistic child.
Yeah.
Okay, like, those types of things where it's like, haha, that's a pretty good twist, which you'd never seen up until that point in time. But now, like, it's done all the goddamn time, and it's kind of like, lame.
Yeah, and I don't know, there's a way to do it. The Dallas one, by the way, I hear a lot of people get pissed off at, by the way. I hear that's one that's like, even for the time, it's like, no, that sucked.
I was a kid... And I remember when JR got shot. I watched Dallas with my parents, and I barely remember most of it. But I remember JR getting shot, and everyone all, like, up in arms, like, oh my god, JR. And then, like, I don't remember how long it was later, all of a sudden it's like, oh, that never happened. I was like, oh, so, you know, now looking back, it's like they tried to totally retcon it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why people didn't like it. It was just like a last minute, no, this didn't happen because we found out these characters were really popular and stuff. But something like St. Elsewhere, like, and maybe that's it. It seems like it fits. You know, Bob with I think you said it follows the show's own rules. With the Bob Newhart show and the way that's and with Newhart, they set up their own rules, and it felt like no, this could end this way. And sort of the same thing with St. Elsewhere, because it was a little strange and it was a little odd that there was sort of this sense of I can see that. Like, it should kind of end this way. It should be a little off. It should be a little weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you nailed it. It has to follow its own rules. And I think this does. As strange and bizarre as it is, it does set these very smart rules that make us want to keep coming back and learning more and finding out more and constantly surprised. So, yeah, no, I
completely agree with you. 110%. It's so good. No, I'll have another one.